Okay, we are back. We are at Oktabehe Airport. We're back with our Carbon Cub, as always. Beautiful plane, beautiful day, and beautiful plan for the flight today. Looks like the weather's gonna hold out for us, which is freaking awesome. I think what we're going to do plan-wise is fly over to Vicksburg, and I've set an waypoint for, here we go, starting it off right, yawning already. Going to Vicksburg Municipal in Mississippi, which is right next to the Mississippi River, and then we're going to VFR our way down south all the way to Nolens. It's going to be a long trip, but it should be fun. I'm hoping we actually get a little bit of a sunset run. If not, I might do a little sunset follow-up, just, you know, maybe across the coast or something just to capture that, because the sunset's always fun to fly around in. What you just saw, I did have in the fuel here. I just noticed, though, supposedly we have a rear passenger, and I was getting ready to throw him out, because I don't see him. I don't know who's back there. I don't know what's taking up 175 pounds, but I don't see it. But I'm going to say that's you guys. I'm going to say it's you guys, and that you guys are a healthy, for your height and body mass index, 175 pound. No, I'm just kidding about the health and body mass index. But we'll leave it, since that's what we've been flying with. We are running off the left wing as per what we left off with last time. Got a little bit more fuel in the left tank than the right, but it was very close. We were at like 20 and 15 when we were flying. We switched over because we had just over a half hour left. And then we idled for a little bit while we were there, so, or while we were here, I suppose. So that is that. So we're gonna call this good. Like I said, we're going to Vicksburg. Just waypoint wise, we're not actually. I don't intend on landing. We might land, but I don't intend on it. But yeah, we'll fly there, and then we're gonna VFR down the Mississippi River all the way to New Orleans, and fly around. They have some pretty cool things. I think you know, there's like a bay down there, like a shipping port. So should be interesting. Lots of fun. Lots of yawning. So, without further ado, let's get this party started. Check, we are 1 notch of flaps. We are full propeller. Had a weird noise there. We are, oh, there we go. Leaned us out for a minute on accident. We are full mixture, and I think we are gonna be ready to go here. Airspeed is live. Oh. And pulling up. Oh, feels good to be back. It's been, I think, about a week since I have flown from the last episode, so looking forward to it. Pardon my yawning. I had a, well, I mean, let's be honest. It doesn't really matter what the circumstance is, I'm going to yawn. But I had a bit of a snooze just a little while ago. I'm gonna throw the propeller back just a little bit so I don't overspeed it, because we're not looking to climb super, super fast. But yeah, I had a little bit of a snooze, so might have a couple yawns coming in. Got an old-fashioned rocking right now, so don't drink and fly. But yeah, should be a fun flight. Beautiful day, not like the weather we had last time, and it may be a little bit early, but I'm hoping we do catch a sunset. So hopefully everyone's had a good week. It's been a long and busy week in my books, but that is okay. Went and did something I haven't done in literally over a year, which is crazy to say, but yeah, went to a movie theater, and it was great. It was so great. Went and saw Stillwater. So if you're interested, I think it's a pretty good movie. You know, being it's kind of, you know, mixed feelings, right? Like, I'm a Texas guy, so there's like an unspoken obligation. Well, I say unspoken. I feel like it's kind of spoken sometimes too, but like an unspoken obligation to kind of hate on Oklahoma a little bit. And for those of you that don't know, Stillwater is a city in Oklahoma. Lots of pipeline, oil, rural type work there. Somewhat reminiscent of West Texas as far as industry, not necessarily in culture and stuff like that. But anyways, really awesome movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Went on a little bit of a date, you know, so that was good. So yeah, it's been a good week, but again, a little bit busy, and it was nice to cap it off last night with a little movie date. So yeah, very enjoyable. But about today's flight, I think I've already explained it probably 500 times, but kind of came up with the idea today to I might need to bring the yawn counter in for this this video. I didn't intend on bringing it in past that first episode, but woo, we are yawning something fierce. Let's see here. Let's do this. Heading, flight director, autopilot. We'll do that. Okay. But yeah, I woke up today, was going to do the video early, but you know how it is. Long week, sometimes you lose a little motivation. Is that a good excuse? Absolutely not. But it's the honest truth. So lost a little bit of motivation. Relaxed this morning. I watched Dukes of Hazzard, the one with Johnny Knoxville and Jessica Simpson. I really enjoy that movie. Like, being a car person, like, it's just, even though it's cheesy, it's like pretty lame humor. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a great time. So yeah, I watched that and relaxed a little bit. Went and got a sandwich, a little Subway sandwich, and from there, what else did I do? Subway sandwich, came back, ate it, watched a couple videos on the interwebs, and then, yeah, commenced to end up taking a nap. And then I got up. I've been yawning ever since. Here we go again. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. So, did that. Watched a couple episodes of Whose Line Is It Anyways? One of my favorite shows. Fixed me an old fashioned. Came up here, edited episode 3, which I will throw up today. And then, yeah, came back over to the rig, to the sim rig, and jumped in here, figured out where we left off, what fuel level we had, and got everything punched in. Figured out a plan for going to Louisiana from Mississippi, and yeah, I am excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think we might kick over the heading just a couple clicks. Try to get closer to being on course. But yeah, that is. That is the weekend recap. Okay, so now that we are cruising a little bit, still pretty low altitude. Honestly, I don't think we're gonna be able to make a ton of headway here. We're gonna throw back the mixture to lean a little bit. Watch the EGTs come up. We'll try to fine tune it a little bit. But we're manifold down to 8 gallons per hour. Yeah, it's still up at 20. It's still... Oh, interesting. I guess it's just because of where we're sitting. So before, this was sitting lower. So I may have misread the analog gauges earlier. So I may have taken on a bit of extra fuel. I think worst case we took on probably 3... yeah, probably about 3 gallons, 3.5 gallons. So apologies for that. But we'll survive. We will survive. I mean, worst case scenario, again, we will refuel when we start getting low on fuel. But yeah, that's kind of the recap of my weekend thus far. And my week, a little bit, just been busy with work, getting ready to get get to partying. But yeah. Monday through Friday work. Went out a little early yesterday, actually, from work on Friday. Went to the range. A little disappointed. I was planning on shooting a new gun I built, and didn't end up panning out. When I got there, I shot my AR-10. Shot it at the 100-yard range. I've shot a ton of rounds through it. It's yeah, put a hog down with it. Been to the range a lot with it. Used to go every weekend. So that gun I was pretty confident in. Just making sure it was still on paper. It had been about maybe 8 months since I last shot it. Down in Texas. Actually, when I put a hog down. So. I hadn't shot it in a long time. Wanted to make sure we were still on paper, make sure everything was good. Cycled flawlessly. Pretty decent group. I'd say maybe 1.5 to 2 inches, but I think that's mostly me being rusty and not indicative really of the gun's performance. But yeah, then a new one I had built that runs 300 blackout was not. It was kind of a weird circumstance, so I needed to sight it in. I built it back in February and haven't taken it out to shoot. I know, it's a travesty, but hadn't taken it out to shoot. Went to the range, didn't want to sight it in at a 100-yard range, but I didn't have a pop-up stand for anything closer, and I misunderstood the rules on... it was my understanding you couldn't build your pop-up stand out of wood, but it was actually that you were supposed to build it out of wood if you were going to bring one. So that was totally on me, not on the DNR at all. But yeah, so went up there. Well, they had a pistol range, like a 15 or like maybe a 5 to 25 yard pistol range, and already had stands up that I'd be able to mount a target on, but you can't shoulder mount or shoulder fire a gun. And technically, the gun that I was going to shoot is a pistol. It's a 300 blackout 8.5-inch pistol, but didn't end up getting to do that because I wasn't actually going to be able to sight it in. I didn't want to shoot it at 100 yards without having sighted it in. Plus, that's not really what I built it for. So, yeah, I ended up heading home a little early, but it was nice because I pretty much had the range to myself. There's one other guy there. He finished up a little bit earlier than I did, and ended up having the range to myself. So it was a lot. It was good getting back out, getting back in the swing of things, and yeah, just enjoying getting a little bit of a early break from the day, and yeah. So that is the recap pretty much of my late weekend. Like I said, after that went and got some Five Guys, which God bless America. Five Guys, don't get me wrong, it was tasty, but it's just me. I get a bacon cheeseburger, just the patties, the cheese, the bacon, and the bun. I know. Roast me in the comments. I can take it. But that's all I got. And then got a regular, so not a little and not a large. I got a regular, or a medium, as you know, most average people call it, French fry, and a large drink. which I feel like is a pretty reasonable meal for any human. Maybe it's a little bit much for some people. Maybe it's not enough for some other people. Maybe they go for the large fry. More power to you. But I think that's a reasonable amount of food. I order is $19. $19. And don't get me wrong, it's good food. It is not $19 good food. They don't bring it to your table. You go get your drink yourself from the dispenser, like the drink dispenser. And none of those things are a problem. None of those things are bad things inherently of the business. It also asks for a tip, which I think is kind of an interesting thing. I know different people have different opinions on tips, and I don't know how Five Guys structures their employee pay. So I don't know if they work off of tips or if they work off of higher hourly wage. But it's irrelevant. The point being, there was a lack of like service to you, really, other than fixing the food. You have to get your own drink, you have to get your own straw, your own condiments, your own silverware, if needed. I mean, for what I was doing, I didn't need it, but regardless, like, you go get those things yourselves, which is fine. That's cool. But I guess I don't understand the idea behind having a $19 meal for one person from like a more or less glorified fast food place, right? Like, it's not a drive-through, but I know some of them are, but the one that I was at was not a drive-through, but it wasn't it's not like going to Cheddar's or Chili's or any other chain, like normal sit-down restaurant. Like, it's like a hybrid, I guess. But regardless, I looked back. It was like $9 and some odd cents for the sandwich, the hamburger. I feel like that's like a lot. I would think $5 to $7 is appropriate. Maybe since it's got 2 patties, okay, $7. I still think that's high, but let's say $7. The fries were like 4 something. To me, fries are like $2, right? It's a medium. It's not a large. There's nothing fancy about it. I mean, they had Cajun seasoning on them, right? But I can go buy Cajun seasoning if I'm just super about it. So, yeah, you get a medium French fry, a very ordinary sandwich, a large drink, which is great. I think the drink, I forgot exactly how much it was. But all in all, like, it was $3 or $4, and then you add taxes onto it. But yeah, like, again, $19 for a meal. It just, I thought that was incredible. That blew my mind that was, that existed in this rural town. Like, not rural, but like somewhere between rural and suburban, right? It wasn't suburban, but it was not like one red light, no chain restaurants, and like you eat at the gas station, right? So it was like more than that, but yeah, pretty interesting. So I did do that. That was a tangent. I apologize for getting on, but yeah, and also that probably shows to how like often I go to different places like that, right? Like I haven't been to a Five Guys since I was in like middle school, so I did not, when I wasn't paying for my own meals, so I guess I didn't realize that Five Guys is like a proudly priced establishment. But again, that's fine. If that's what they charge and people think it's worth it, whatever. That's cool. Not necessarily my jam, so I probably will not indulge in that, but that's okay. Again, that's more than okay. So I had that. Long story short, worked, tagged out a little bit early, went to the range, went to Five Guys, went and visited my girlfriend at work, and then I headed to the house and thought, man, something we dated over a year, something we hadn't done, given dating during COVID, so that's a little strange, just with how many things weren't accessible for the longest time, and they've started opening back up, or they've been opened up for a little while now, but we'll see how that goes. Again, won't get off on another tangent, but was like, how nice would it be go to a movie? So went and looked up movies. They had plenty to choose from, like between 7 and 9 movies per theater. found a good theater that I had been to. Funny enough, that's the last one that I had been to, and it's the first one I had been to in this state. So found that movie. It looked decent, and went to it, and again had a great time. Really enjoyed it. It was good. So went and did that, and then came back home and conked out. Man, I have been checking out early on sleep. These days are some tired days. Some tired days. Good days, but tired days. So now it's coming down a little bit. Which is good. All right, gotta do a quick. Okay, good. Just doing a quick little. Whatchamacallit, little recording check. Gotta take a little drink of my old fashioned here. Old fashioned number 2. This one I haven't actually drank yet. So let's see. That's not bad right there. Man, old fashions, the weight of my heart. Drop your favorite drink, your drink of choice in chat, or I say in chat, in the comments. I am an old-fashioned guy, and yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what to. It's so funny because the very first time I had one, I'll never forget. I was actually talking to my brother about it about a week or two ago. I love old fashions, like it's my go-to drink. And but the first time I had one, I was visiting him when he was working away from where he's at now. So drove out there. It's about 5 hours from where I lived. Went out, and he was like, "Oh, hey, like let's go to one of our friend, him and his wife's friends' houses, and we'll play games, we'll watch live PD back when that show was on, and hang out." I thought great. So went hung out with their friends, had a great time, and they're like, "You want old fashioned?" And I was a little bit younger. I think I was 21 or 22 at the time, and I'm thinking like, yeah, that sounds great. I can drink now, so everything, like anything sounds good. So I remember first taste, I was like, my God, what have I done? This was a grave mistake. Finished it, cause I'm not rude, but that was a rough. I say rough, not like the after effects. It wasn't like a drunk kind of rough. It was like literally just the taste. And in hindsight, I'm not sure if I didn't have a refined palate or if it wasn't a very good old fashioned. But I will take the blame on it, on me not having a refined palate. I can own that. So tried it. Didn't love it. I will note, it did have a regular cherry in it, and that'll come into play here in a minute, because that's a major key to a successful old-fashioned, in my opinion, is the cherry. So, for those of you who don't know, old-fashioned, it is whiskey. I tend to do bourbon whiskey. I'm a Woodford Reserve man myself. And you have that. You have aromatic bitters. It's a specific name, and it's hard to pronounce. And it's like Angostura bitters. Angostura bitters, I think. Angostura or orange bitters. I think you can use different kinds of bitters, but either Angostura or orange bitters. And if I'm saying that name wrong, just appreciate the fact that you're just smarter than me at enunciating words, pronouncing words. Anyways, so Angostura bitters, a sugar cube or simple syrup, depending on what kind of person you are and what you have available. Some people don't have one or the other available, not a big deal. And then a cherry, and then I tend to have it with and I think this is like the I don't know if this is true or not. So proficient people at this don't roast me, but I think the standard is to have a large ice cube in it. So, yeah, I typically, if you're wondering what Sim Adventures likes to drink here, Throw the sugar cube down. Sometimes it helps to have a little dash of water, just a little splash there, a little dash of water to help dissolve it. Throw your bitters down. How much? Totally up to you. I think 3 dashes a little too small, like not quite enough to give it a little tang to it. So I'm a 5 to 7 5 to 7 dashes bitters guy. You muddle that real nice. There's some options here, right? So I'm gonna go with the standard, but we'll come back to the options. So you do that. I throw the ice cube in. I think some people pour the whiskey first. I throw the ice cube in first because it chills it a little bit on the way down. And although I can drink whiskey neat, I'm very much a chilled guy. Like I like chilled whiskey. So, anyways, then you pour you a little shot of whiskey over the top, stir it around, throw in your. Now you can do this before or after the cherry in and of itself. You can do before or after, and it might actually make more sense to do it before the ice cube. We throw down a Luxardo. Important note here. This is like, to me, make or break. If you don't throw a Luxardo in, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to drink it. But I'll know. I'll judge you a little bit inside. You throw a Luxardo cherry in. Overpriced? Perhaps. In my opinion, as someone who thoroughly enjoys a good old-fashioned, not overpriced. But in reality, it's like $20 for a jar of them. I get it, right? Like that's a lot, but they last you a really long time. I still have the only jar that I've bought since I've lived here, and since I've come about Luxardo cherry. So do with that what you will. But stir it around, throw your ice cube in, and apparently they're intentionally too strong up front. I say too strong, like they're a little bit sharp up front. But as the ice begins to melt a little bit, there's like a sweet spot, like a buttery zone of awesomeness, which is when you're supposed to consume in moderation, right? Appropriately and responsibly, your old-fashioned. Now, if we want to come back to some options you have here, let me just go ahead and do that. So if you want a sweeter old-fashioned, you're like, I want to be classy and say that I'm having an old-fashioned, but I don't want to drink, what some people perceive as like nail polish remover, right? Like I have come to love whiskey, both rye, bourbon, not Scotch. I have not come to love Scotch whiskey, but that is okay. I haven't tried it a lot. Maybe I'll come around. But if you want you want to have the class of a man with an old-fashioned, but with the palate of like a mature 6-year-old, then I have the trick for you. So you get the Luxardo cherry. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's take it from the top. All right, you get your sugar cube, dash of water to help dissolve, Angostura bitters, or whatever the heck they're called, or orange bitters. Couple dashes of those, 3 to 5 on the minimum side. I'd say 5 to 9. 9 on the super high side. I don't know how many people run 9 dashes of bitters. If that's what you want to do, that's cool. And I don't think it would taste bad. That's like, that's not the primary draw to me for an old-fashioned, so I don't tend to run that high. But regardless, so you throw the bitters in, and then when you get into this muddling, dissolving phase, you get here's the trick. Here's the creme de la creme trick. You get some of the syrup from the Luxardo cherry jar. You razzle dazzle a little bit of it. Now it's gonna stick to the spoon, and then your sugar is gonna stick to the spoon, so we'll have to come back to that. But you do that, you muddle it, get it to a nice fine good consistency. You throw in the whiskey, stir it up, put in your ice cube, or put the ice cube in first and then throw your whiskey in, throw the cherry in, stir all that up, bada bing bada boom, you have a beautiful tasty, delicious treat that isn't quite so sharp on the taste buds as a traditional old-fashioned without that syrup. That syrup, though, is fairly sweet. For context, I don't like cherries, right? So if you don't like cherries, maybe this works for you too. I don't like cherries. Like, someone makes me a hot fudge sundae, which let's be honest, that doesn't happen, right? Like, who would just be randomly making me a hot fudge sundae? But if they were, or if I went to Sonic and they put a cherry on it, Like, I'm not gonna be bougie and be like, no cherry, please, because that's weird. But I'm not eating the cherry, right? They give me a cherry limeade with cherry, not eating the cherry. I'm not a cherry guy. On the actual, like, the cherry itself. Now, the flavor, love it, all right? Nothing wrong with cherry. I have no issues with that. But Luxardo cherries, funny enough, the way I discovered those, same brother, different set of friends. I was down for Christmas last year, maybe, and went to some of his friends' house. They offered old fashions. I naturally obliged. And shout out to them. I'll leave them my name, but my brother watches this, and for anyone who knows, if you know, you know. My goodness, can they make an old fashioned? Like, they go around with like a kit to make old fashions. It's great. So, they made us around in old fashions. Drink it. Like, oh, y'all want another round? I mean, come on, another round of old fashions. It's Christmas time. I was technically on vacation, even though I didn't really get a vacation. Of course, I was going to indulge. So, it was like, yeah, sign me up, Chief. I'll take a second. And then they're like, oh, you're not gonna eat the cherries? And they're like, just pour the drink. You can leave the cherry. And they're like, oh no, y'all gotta eat the cherries. And I, me, not wanting to be a rude person, I'm like, all right, I eat the cherry. I did. Life-changing experience ever since then. Luxardo cherry, man. Who would have thought? Look at that airport over there. Meow. But yeah, so that was what turned me on to Luxardo cherries. And yeah, again, if you're not a cherry person, that's okay. That's okay. And if you don't even like Luxardo cherries, again, don't let me tell you how to make your drink. You enjoy whatever you enjoy, and everybody's happy. But there's all you ever did not want to know about old fashions and the fact that I love them. But if you're curious, I just had another drink of mine, and I'm a fan. I am a fan. So, let's see here. Here we go again with this nonsense on the flight plan. And like the flight plan is ruined. Estimated time on route wise. So, I don't really know how much time we have left on route. Let's just zoom out. Looks like we're about halfway there. So we have been going for a steady minute here. Like, if I were to check, we have been going for a good half hour. And all we've managed to do is talk about old fashions. And don't get me wrong, that's not a bad life. That is not a bad life at all. But let's see. We're not even actually flying to that airport. So what I'm gonna do is just remove that and go to map, and we're just gonna keep flying because we're just gonna be flying until we get to the Mississippi, and then we're gonna IFR our way down. So, why even bother? But seems like it's gonna be a long flight. If this has been a half hour, doing some rough math, quick maths, this is gonna be probably 50 minutes ish, maybe another half hour. And then down to here is probably gonna be another half hour, and then here, and then around here. So this might be a little bit long. I don't know if I want to do. We did time lapse stuff last time, and I didn't mind it, although it was a little weird editing it. I guess I don't obviously I don't typically do that, so it was a little strange. But regardless, yeah, I don't know if we'll go. I mean, I was going to go all the way down to Nolans this trip, but I'm just, I'm a little. I guess I'm realizing how far that is. And I'm not saying that we're not going to do it. It just may not be under the circumstances we intended, right? So, all right. So we're at under 15 indicated there. We're at just under 20 indicated there. to avoid any issues, we're going to switch over to our right tank. We want to stay within that 5-gallon imbalance, or 5-gallon balance rather. So, look at all these buttons, sick buttons, yo. So one thing I'd like to do, here's what we can do on our trip over here to the Mississippi River. I was checking my flaps here. I am in fact good. I would like to get into VAT Sim. So I've been looking recently, and this is more of a 3 to 5 year plan. So don't get too excited. But in real life, I would love to get my private pilot's license. You know, I think I've mentioned before, my oldest brother's an Air Force pilot, and he always jokes with us every holiday about buying a plane. And fortunately, planes, like, everyone, when you hear plane, you're like, okay, like, let's get on a Gulfstream G6, you know, let's get on a freaking Cessna Citation, but, like, realistic, or a TBM, right? I was thinking, like, oh, a TBM's not a jet, it must not be that expensive. No, it's still like $4+ million. Anyways, there are reasonably priced planes, right? Like, there are sub $100,000 planes. And the way that they appear to finance planes, and I haven't gotten deep into it, so for any experts, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way it appears as though they finance planes is similar to that of, like term-wise, similar to that of a house. So they have 10 and 20-year notes on planes, which I think is kind of weird, but regardless, planes are planes are not as expensive as you would expect, right? You can get $1 million planes, you can get tens of millions of dollars in planes, you get $100,000 planes, you can get a $30,000 plane now, right? You can get a $60,000 plane, $150,000 plane, and I just think it would be one of the coolest things to be able to, like, travel in that way independently, right? So, like, right now, I can drive anywhere in the continental U.S. and even up to Canada or down to Mexico, like anywhere that land's touching, right? I can drive, which is that's a cool thing. A lot of people don't, like, I guess, take advantage of that or understand that, and that is pretty cool. It's often taken for granted or viewed as a lesser means of travel, and in some regards it is, right? Like, it's obviously not as fast as taking a jet, and sometimes it's not as cheap, right? Like, driving to the Midwest may not be as cheap as flying, depending on what your car is, or if you rent a car, or other, you know, what flights are going for. You may be able to find a cheap flight down to Florida or a cheap flight to Vegas instead of driving there. You know, assuming that you live away from those locations, right? It's the same, like, if you lived in Vegas, you might find a cheap flight to New York or, you know, Texas or Georgia or wherever. Like, point being, you can find deals on pretty much anything, and it may not make the most fiscal sense to drive somewhere. But even if it did, right? Like, regardless of the cost, I think the experience of being able to travel independently in a slightly more efficient, like, speed-wise way, and in a more, like, unique way, right? Like, I know there's a ton of general aviation pilots, and there's a ton of people who fly commercial, like, consistently, right? I do a bit of that myself as far as being a passenger, so I understand that there's a lot of people who get to experience on some level the ability to fly places, but I think it's such a unique and exciting experience to the thought of it, at least. Maybe it's not in reality, but the pipe dream idea is what a cool and unique experience, and what an exciting idea to be able to travel by means of flight independently, you know, in comparison to having to drive, right? Or having to book a flight and just be a passenger. And don't get me wrong, there are pros to that too, right? Like, when you're flying, like in this case, like, you have to be present. You have to be present, you have to be cognizant, you have to be aware, you have to understand what's going on. And, like, to some degree, it's a bit of work. But in that same vein, I'm not saying more or less, but like, it's not like you're not working when you drive, right? Like when you're driving, it's like, let me not ram the dude in front of me, or let me ram this dude in front of me because they deserve. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But you know, you're trying not to get in accidents. You're trying not to rear end anybody. You're trying to go the most effective speed within the means of the law that will also get you to your destination on time. I make no recommendations to speed, but you know, you have those two factors. You have the fuel economy factor where you're having to consider, like, okay, when am I going to need to stop? When does it make the most sense? If you have any passengers on board, whether it's your family, your friends, your pets, you know, when are they going to need to go to the bathroom? When do we need to get food? Is it just me? You know, all of these things. Are there places I shouldn't drive? Is the weather too inclement to drive through? Like, a lot of these things you have to think about when you drive, too. So it's not like you get to avoid those by flying. And it's not like you get to avoid the flying work by driving, right? Like, the only time I think you get to avoid any of those things, to some extent, is when you're a passenger on an airplane. And in that event, like, there are other things that come with that. Maybe not quite as burdensome on your mental state, you know, right? Like, you got to make sure you take out all your knives out of your baggage before you go to the airport, if that's something you keep on hand. I'm actually not like really a knife guy, so I don't ever consider. I mean, it's not to say I don't have knives, but that's not like I don't have a knife on me at all times, so that's not something that I like really have to worry about. But like, you know, you got to make sure if you've been hunting recently and you happen to have taken some luggage with you that you travel with frequently, like, there's no guns in it, there's no bullets in it, there's no knives in it, there's no anything that can be construed as a weapon in it. Yeah, you know, and let's say that's not even something that you have to work with, right? Like, you can't have liquids in your bag. You got to make sure you have your ID. Got to make sure you've checked in. Got to make sure you get to the airport on time. Then if you get to the airport on time, like by normal standards, the whole 2-hour early thing, in COVID times, then you get to sit in the airport for like an hour and a half. Then you got to make sure that your gate doesn't change, do something funky that you miss because you're snoozing or you're on your phone playing around. I've had a panic about that before, which I can get into later. But long story short, like, there's no total way, unless you're like the you know, the cultural and financial elite that I guess gets the ability to not worry about those things. But I don't know how frequent that is, or how how many people I talk to that actually have to consider that. So yeah, all that to say, you don't really get to drop all those things off just because you're flying, or just because you're driving, or just because you're a passenger, right? Gotta take a break here. Old-fashioned break, everybody. Take a drink if you're with me. Ah, lovely. Getting a little chilly. So, anyways, also, funny to note that the local time has shifted back an hour. Because I just looked at my in real life clock and was like, oh, we're an hour ahead of them. I'm an hour ahead of myself, really. But anyways, so yeah, when you start to think about it in those terms, you know, you start to realize, like, you're not gaining necessarily or losing anything by one or the other. And I say that, like, I don't know. I'm talking a little bit in circles here, so I'll pause to reconvene on a consistent thought here. Basically, if you drive, you have things that come with driving as things you have to consider, which is fine. If you fly as a passenger, you're in a different but similar boat where you have to consider the things that come along with being a passenger on an airplane. If you are to pilot and fly yourself, you have your exact, like, you have a list of things too that you have to consider. You have to do your pre-flight checks. You got to make sure your plane's in good working condition. You have to make sure you're in good working condition, ready to go. You have to go through everything pre-flight, everything flight, everything flight plan-wise. getting up into the air, consider the weather, consider, you know, the distance, consider your own fatigue, and, you know, you have all of those things to consider, which is totally fair, totally fine, and not a problem. But I think it would be such an exciting and unique experience to be able to do that myself and be able to, you know, like, take a flight from here to Texas, right? Like, that would be a really, really cool thing, to solo fly from the East Coast over to Texas. So, you know, maybe one day, again, 3 to 5 years, I'd like to start on that journey. If earlier, great. If needed to be later, then, you know, that's fine too. But I just think it would be an exciting thing to try and do. And I have several people that I actually work with who have their private pilot's license and have planes. One of my coworkers has 2 planes. Now, I think one's an experimental. Not sure what the other is, but regardless, like, they are all, you know, all general aviationists, and they go to Oshkosh and enjoy themselves. And I just think it'd be a really cool thing to do. So, there's a reason I was going through that whole explanation, and now I can't recall, but that's okay. Oh, I know what I was going for. So I think it would be really neat to get my private pilot's license, and in an effort to try to do some level of preparation for that. Like, I understand. I fully understand. As someone who, like, has been involved with racing in real life and then racing on a simulator, and understanding that there are very clear and very, like, understood and misunderstood differences between the two. I get it. I get that they're not the same, so I don't want to project that I don't understand that. But I think there is some room to learn and practice and improve on some of the fundamentals of real life flight using Flight Simulator. So I'd like to do some VATSIM stuff. I think the thing that I am interested in learning, that I think there's a lot of content material out on, is like communicating in an aviation setting, right? So communicating with ground and tower and controllers, and I don't even know all the terminology. I won't project that I do, but I think it'd be a very interesting thing to learn, and try to use that as some kind of practice tool. And yeah, so I will probably make an effort to take that step in the future, but haven't quite made it there yet. I like these flights because I like their simplicity. I like that I can mess with the stuff off to the side for different airports on taking off and landing and stuff like that. Most of the grass strips, we haven't really had to worry about that, but for the ones that we have had to worry about it with, I like that I can take care of it pretty quickly via text and not have to get too much into it, and we can really focus on the trip itself. I'd like to do some on-air flying. I need to do that. I haven't actually been on my account in like a week and a half or 2 weeks, which is bad. I had $2.5 million in the bank at the time. There's no telling what I have now, because I have, like, I think 3 planes for rent, 2 full-time pilots, and then some hangar fees that I'm sure I'm paying every week. But I'm looking right now, and it doesn't, on the app at least, it doesn't seem to tell me what my balance is. So we'll have to come back to that. I'd like to do a deal on that. Maybe I could do a good, like, tandem series on VATSIM and on air, and that might be a good series. I'd like to do it on air at the very least, and honestly, I'd like to do the other as well. But I'm going to have to find more time in life to be able to dedicate to that, because right now, Really with just work. I was going to say between work and other things, but really just work is so incredibly busy right now that I'm unable to do some of the more, time-intensive and effort-intensive videos and stuff that I'd like to do. So until then, we'll continue to do some of these fun adventures like this. I love the idea of the whole cross-country, small airplane. Enjoy the scenery, flying low. We're down at 2,000 feet. Getting to see all the trees and the ponds and the farms. Look at all these farmlands back here. I like the fuel, the fact that we're monitoring our fuel. Like a little owl, we can just twist our head back and forth backward like this. That was right on the line. That was about halfway between. But yeah, I like that. And it's really fun, getting to relax. For the last probably 3-ish weeks, my relaxation and downtime and kind of de-stressing has come in the form of flight sim. Just getting in a plane, I really love taking off and landing at grass airstrips. Like, that is something that I absolutely love. I know one of the episodes that we've done has been primarily just taking off and landing at grass airstrips. Like, I don't even know how many. It was a ton of grass strips. I crashed a couple times. I'm hoping that is coming to an end. One, because I've practiced and getting better, and I'm getting better. But I also hope that because the brakes, I think, were a contributor. I know that they didn't contribute to every single one, but they contributed to a lot of them. So I'm hoping that we improve. Like, this would be the first episode, if I'm successful, knock on this polycarb that I've mounted my stuff to. This would be the first episode that we don't crash in. And that's exciting if it happens. But we haven't even tried to land, so I won't count that chicken quite yet. So, yeah, I love taking off and landing. Like, I've done touch and goes and stuff like that. I get a little bored with it if I'm touching and going from the same airfield. Like, I've done that down at Laughlin Air Force Base on here, and it's just not like, didn't necessarily do it for me at the time, but I love it. I just like taking off and landing is the most exciting part of flying in a lot of cases. Not every case, but a lot of cases. Like right here where the scenery is beautiful, but not mountainous or not scenic as far as having landmarks and stuff like that. Taking off and landing is just a joy. It's a big joy. So yeah, I look forward to doing some more of that, and I don't want to get boring and not make a lot of progress on the series by taking all the time to just be taking off and landing and doing stuff like that. But we might, in another state, we might end up doing that. So we'll see. But yeah, I love it. It's been a great kind of relaxing de-stressor. Kind of enjoy the challenge of flight, but enjoy the scenery and kind of the beauty of it too, right? Like, it's a little bit artistic almost. You get to float the plane in, trying to land it, not too much brake, not too much rudder, not too much aileron, not too much elevator. Like, it's a science, don't get me wrong, but it's a bit of an art. Pretty beautiful thing. I enjoy it, and certainly love flying in real life. I think, if nothing else, it would be really fun to do one of the intro flights where you get to, spend an hour, and it's, I forgot how expensive it is. It's fairly cheap. It's less than $300, I think. So, it'd be a good experience. It'd be well worth it. But I think I'll look forward to doing that in the coming years. I have some other priorities that I have to get under. Not under control, but get past, and then we'll get to do some more recreational things like that. I think it's pretty awesome to even be able to consider that. I know not everyone is that fortunate. That's a blessing, if nothing else. But if if for no other reason, I will stop getting into the sappy stuff. And we will check out, there's supposedly some places to land, but I'm not actually seeing them anywhere. Probably just blind, but. Per the GPS here. Looks like on the other side of the water. Maybe over there. All right, we're getting closer. I think I have a slightly new plan that may end up like being somewhat irrelevant. But I think what we will do is fly until sundown, unless we make it to New Orleans, and we might. But I think we will fly until sundown because once we get to sundown, it will be difficult to see it. Like if we're gonna run on a grass landing strip, we really need to be able to land on it during the day or sunset. And if it gets too dark, we'll land at a standard airport or a standard strip. Not a problem at all. But yeah, I think we'll just fly until sundown. Or if it just gets to be a little bit long and maybe a little bit mundane, you know, I don't mind you know, cutting and coming back to us further down the way. But you know, always it's a weird thing. I don't actually know what people enjoy more or less, because everyone's different, right? Like for me, I enjoy having the entire flight there documented. But that doesn't mean I'll watch the whole thing, right? Whereas there are other times where things are like cut, like lots of editing where things are cut and everything back to back, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I enjoy the content for that too. But I have no issue if something is not, or if something is continuous. Like if one of the flights is continuous, and I either skip around if there's something I'm interested in, right? So like the landing, like there's a 13-hour flight, I'll sit there and work throughout the day, and I'll get through like, you know, 10 hours of it, and then I'm like, okay. Like, I haven't necessarily been paying 100% attention because this is 13 hours long. So I watched them take off, I watched them reach cruising altitude, and now I've just been working. And then, but there's still like, you know, 2.5 hours left. And now that I'm done working, like, I either want to go do something else or I want to see something else. But I'm interested to see them land, you know, like what an achievement doing a 13-hour, like as a flight sim person and flying more difficult planes to fly than this. Like what an achievement to make it through a 13-hour flight and they go land successfully. So I enjoy it, and they're like much more proficient and understanding on the, or well educated on the landing procedures, approach procedures, and how to do all of that with their instruments. You know, I can change altitude and heading and course. Sometimes not even that, but like RNAV, VNAV. I'm starting to pick up and understand VNAV a little bit. I won't pretend like I know everything about it, but I'm starting to pick that up. But no, like it's an impressive feat nonetheless, and I enjoy watching them. So yeah, I'll skip to them landing, and then and I have no problem having missed 2 hours of the flight. To watch like half an hour to 15 minutes of approach and landing. But not everyone's like that. Some people like the cut and paste. Some people like the 30-minute flights, and I don't think I've varied things quite enough at this point to really have a following for that. So I may have, and like the last one, the one where I was, oh, it's my, what? Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. I thought my phone had buzzed. It turns out it had. It just fell between the seat. Anyways. I don't even know entirely what I was talking about. But, oh, I know. So, like, one of the episodes where I was doing all of the grass strip, like, doing several grass strip landings back to back to back, intended on being, like, kind of a short video. Turned out not to be a short video. It turned out not to be a short video at all. As a matter of fact, that particular one, trying to recall exactly which episode that was. I think that was episode 2, maybe? Episode 2, which had the grass strip landings in Georgia. Oh man, you get 2 episodes, you get confused. Like, I'm losing it. It's not a good deal. Yes, it was. I just went and checked. It is episode 2. One like, yeet. But yeah, episode 2 went from 0 GE0 to 81 GA, 3 GA5, 7 GA9, 5 GA2, 8 GA8, 27 GA, and 0 GA7 is the destination. So, yeah, pretty nuts, like, how many of those were. But I intended on that being, like, half an hour or less. It was an hour and 7 minutes, right? Like, that was much longer than some people probably want to watch. So, you know, maybe along the trip, maybe we just do, like, we break things up and do a little ping, 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 you know, across several small strips. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I don't know yet. What I do know is, man, there's so many rivers across here that are so zigzag. And, like, I've been across the Mississippi. I know that it's huge. Like, I've been across it a couple times, both by plane and by car. But, man, am I like, oh, like, I know this is the Mississippi, but if I hadn't been across it, I would not necessarily have known that that is not the Mississippi. Because there are a lot of little river features around here. Matter of fact, we're over here. See all these, and those are just the ones that are listed. So, I'm gonna just keep that is pretty much our deal. We're on a pretty good heading. We're actually probably going to come in a little bit south, maybe, of Vicksburg. We might come right in on it because of the wind. But heading-wise, we might come in a little bit south of Vicksburg, which is fine. We're not really flying there. Just trying to get a waypoint. But looks like some airport off yonder, and way back there. Are those the ones that we were looking at earlier? I think they are. Man, they seem like they would be so much further back whenever I was looking on the map. But man, what a sight! What a sight. Beautiful. Get another drink here. Interesting. I typically am either drinking this socially, drinking an old-fashioned socially with others, or you know, by myself watching a show or with dinner or whatever else. And they typically go much faster than that. I'm not used to the ice having melted as much as it has. So kind of funny, but still tasty. Still tasty indeed. Alright, let's take a little look at our fuel. So we're at about half between there. So we'll get down to the 10. Which that's so usable. Okay. This is so interesting. Those markings. I'm surprised I haven't ever noticed this. Is that the... It is the same. How have I not noticed this? I wonder if this is like when you're on the ground versus when you're in the air. So when you're in the ground, or when you're on the ground, tail end is way down. So you would... Oh, God, which one would this be? Would it seem higher or lower if the tail was on the ground? Woof. Why can I not... Why can I not visualize that? Interesting. We may have to do a little experiment when we land. May have to do a little experiment. Because I had not thought about that in the past. I can't believe I never noticed that these like just didn't line up. Like, it's a very close line where these should line up. I wonder if it says usable fuel 3 point some odd gallons. Interesting. I was visualizing that and doing a little hand exercise to try to figure that out. And Shelbaroni, the old plain dog, my old plain dog. You're not a plain dog, are you? No. You are a squeaky toy and food. Oh, your little ears perked up. Oh, you gave me a kiss. Someone's hungry. Well, we may just have to feed you, huh, pup? Huh? We need to go give you some food? Okay, we won a little bit. I know, you're so excited, I know. We won a little bit. Not right now. Shelby, the German Shepherd. Very cute, very sweet. And man, has she been needy in the mornings lately. It's ridiculous. She will wake me up at 5 in the morning. I've been waking up at 5 in the morning. I haven't been getting, not to be confused with getting up at 5 in the morning, because I may be crazy, but I'm not a psychopath, okay? So I've been waking up at 5 in the morning, and then I'll either lay in bed and read, or, you know, I'll read emails, or I'll do whatever I gotta do. To get the day started, or I'll consider how I'm going to go be successful throughout the day. Whether that ever comes to fruition or not, different story. But that's, you know, I have found that if I wake up early enough to consider what I actually need to get done for the day before anyone asks for anything, then I'm much better off than, like, getting up at 7:30, making coffee, kicking off at 8, and then figuring it out, right? Like, if I have a plan, I'm a little bit better off. So, regardless, she comes in there, she jumps up, she smacks me in the head a couple times, and then she lays on my chest. I'd roll over, and she lays on my chest. And I'll pet her for a little bit, and then I'll slump her off to the side. She's got bony-ass elbows. And then she'll lay down like she's a little spoon. Like she needs to be it's ridiculous. It is an unhealthy expectation from your dog. But I mean, how cute is it to cuddle with your dog and, you know, in the morning, especially if it's real cold and she's all fluffy. You just roll over, pet the tummy, give her all the head scratches, and then I end up falling back to sleep. And she normally does too. She puts her head on her pillow like a human. It's ridiculous. So then I get uncomfortable, or she gets uncomfortable, roll around, then if she gets out of bed, that's when it's a bad day, because she whines. My goodness. Like, if she didn't sleep in, even, I don't even think she slept in the same room for the first like 9+ months, maybe longer, because I was kennel training her, so she slept in a kennel. And she does really well with the kennel now, and that's the reason that I did that when I had her. I got her at like 6 or 8 weeks old, but so she's well kennel trained. But then when I started letting her sleep in the same bed with me, which I don't have any aversions to, the fact that I can like trustingly send her to a kennel and she'll be okay, was more than worth it to me to do that for the first several months, and then now let her sleep in the same bed. So. But yeah, she sits there and whines. So whining, not a problem, because I'll take it as an indication that she either needs to go outside, she needs food or water, or she wants to play, which is the last one, unacceptable at 5 o'clock in the morning, or 6:15 in the morning when this may be reoccurring. So then, I will, not always, but this morning, for example, I get up, I go downstairs. She's so excited. She just got a new squeaky toy. My girlfriend got her a new squeaky toy yesterday. She's so excited. She gets this squeaky hippo, big squeaky hippo fan. And we'll go down the stairs. She runs down there, gets on her bed. She has a little bed in the living room. And I go and open the back door like, okay, like you must need to go out. No, she just wanted to play. So then me, disgruntled, on a Saturday morning, at 6:30 in the morning, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing anything else right now for you, so I'm just gonna go back to bed. I go back to bed, she whines. So, what's funny is I shut the door, and if like she really needs something and I shut the door on her, she'll whine some more. No, she just laid next to the door and was like, psh, lame, I wanted to play dad. So, yeah, that's the story of Shelby the German Shepherd. She's a funny one. She's pretty hilarious. Excellent dog, though. I always wanted a German Shepherd ever since the movie I Am Legend with Will Smith, and he has Sam, the German Shepherd. Samantha almost named Shelby Sam, but didn't. Sam didn't quite fit. Shelby was the one, and I'm super glad with that name now. But yeah, always wanted one. But I had read a bunch of things about them. Not anything bad, but I'd read a bunch of them about them, how they were, higher maintenance. You have to watch out for these things. They can have health problems with hip dysplasia, and so I wasn't nervous getting into it, but I was like aware that there could be issues and concerned that those issues might be present and that I might have to deal with them, and like. I grew up with dogs all my life, but our dogs never had problems. So, a dog having a problem is a fairly newfangled thing. You take them to the vet, you get their shots, you make sure that they don't have fleas, you feed and water them, you give them a nice place to sleep, you take them out, let them relieve themselves. Like, their dogs are easy, right? Like, you play with them. Some dogs like that more than others. Some dogs are not high activity or high, like high mental stimulus required dogs. But that was another thing. German Shepherds are, they're some are show breed, some are working breed or working line or show line. And I'm not an expert on German Shepherds, but I understand that they're like mentally working dogs. Like they're very interested in being active, working, having an objective, having something that they need to perform at. And doing great at it. I mean, it's what makes them great canines, makes them great protection dogs, and just makes them great dogs all the way around. So I got her 6 or 8 weeks old. I can't remember. I remember seeing her. There was an albino German Shepherd dame or mother, and black and tan sire or male father that mated, had a litter. 3 girls, 4 boys, 2 albino females, and 1 black and tan, and she was the black and tan female, and I always wanted a black and tan one, so got her, and man, I have been sold ever since. I've never had a better dog since Shelby. She incredibly smart, plenty active, plenty affectionate. She's not a huge cuddler, don't get me wrong, like, if you want her to jump on the couch with you and just be a cuddler all the time, it's not her It's not her personality, not her MO. But if you want a loyal, protective, sweet, dopey dog, German Shepherds, not a bad choice. Not a bad choice at all. She is sweet, very funny, very protective. Yeah, she's definitely got a personality. She's very sassy dog. But no, very well behaved. You know, I didn't have when I moved from Texas, I left her in Texas with my family for 6 months, I guess. Yeah. So I had moved out in May, bought a house in October, and then moved her in after the holidays and Christmas in January. So about 6-ish months. And like I had driven with her about an hour max, but no, like drove 14 hours with her, no issues at all. She is a trooper, super easy to travel with, didn't get car sick, wasn't hyper the whole time, didn't need to use the bathroom all the time. Just very good road dog. So which that I can very much also, just quick pause. That, ladies and gentlemen, Mississippi River. So we're going to be flying IFR across this river from here on out. We may still be using either the heading mode or stuff like that. We might hand fly it a little bit, but we're going to follow the river from here on out. Anyways, so she great travel dog. Well, I brought her home, and I actually was sick. I had a sinus infection, and I had a respiratory infection. That's what it was. It wasn't a sinus infection. Coughing real bad, couldn't talk, all this other stuff. So, to the point where the trip, I felt so bad driving back. I did not listen to a single song, talk show, podcast, and nothing. No audio for 14 and a half hours at all. That is how, my head was pounding. I felt terrible. Anyways, not the point of the story. Get her home, went to the doctor the next day. It's the only time she's ever had an accident in the house where she hadn't been sick from doing something she's not supposed to, which has only happened once or twice, but that's like one of 3 times total that she's ever had an accident in the house. And it was like her first day in a new house, new state, had just driven 14 hours the day before. She incredibly well behaved. Going to work, I can leave her in the house for 8 hours. I can leave her in the house for 12 hours. I try not to do that as much as I can, but I can do that and she's okay. She paces herself on food and water, so if I leave her at home and I'm gone and I haven't had anyone come check on her or anything like that, she will not eat or drink. She'll eat and drink in the morning, she'll go outside and use the bathroom, and then she won't eat and drink the rest of the day until I get back, and then she'll eat and drink and I'll let her out, or we'll go for a walk or do whatever. So she's awesome. She is awesome. Just a great dog. But man, we are here. We have made it to the Mississippi River. So I think I could, and this is where my geography skills, they start to fail. Over there, Louisiana. Over there, Mississippi. Certainly where 20 crosses, that's how it is. But, who knows if that's the case where we currently are. So let's see, Mississippi. Let's actually check. Vicksburg. Okay, yes, so crossing the Mississippi in most, not all, but most cases here, will put you into Louisiana. Oh, is that a airport down there? That is an airport down. I wonder if that's Vicksburg. whoa now. KVKS, that is Vicksburg. That's where we were going to fly into. It's kind of funny. Okay, let's adjust our heading here. Oh, hey, Shelbaroni. We were just talking about you, girl. We were just talking about you being such a good potato, such a good pepperoni. I know, all the kisses. Oh, you're gonna sit for some more head scratches. Yes, of course. You're gonna look at me with those big brown eyes like Dad. You've been here all day. We paid just a little bit. It's time to play some more. We will play in a little while. But yeah, we are here. This is so exciting. We got the sun off to our starboard side there. I think we are gonna have a beautiful sunset flight. Sunset on the Mississippi. Who knew? That's one thing. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I am not a navigator by water in any regard. But I'm very interested. I think it'd be such a cool trip to go up, do a long distance trip up or down the Mississippi in a jet ski. I am very interested in that prospect. I think that'd be so fun. You know, just like jump in a jet ski, find out where, you know, maybe at one of these forks or something. Let's see, what's even up here? KPAH. What is KPAH? Barkley. No, that doesn't tell me anything. Anyways, go way up, do a long distance like jet ski tour all the way down to Nolens, basically. I think that'd be so fun. That'd be a very exciting, very exciting trip. And just see it, like, it, you know, I'm sure there are stints of it that would be boring, right? Like, this would probably not be a very entertaining trip if you just are looking at what we're looking at. But I know that there's some pretty cool bridge crossings, pretty cool ports in the Mississippi. There's some really neat things that you can see. I've crossed the Mississippi up north once, coming back, I believe, from Wisconsin, from Road America, and it was so cool. I mean, it was the perfect season too. I've never seen such beautiful fall colors than the last time I was in, or the last time I drove down, or the only time I drove down, I guess, from Wisconsin. I've flown in and out to Road America a million times, going to Milwaukee Airport. Only drove down once, and I was going from the track down to Texas and flying out that same day. That was crazy. We drove out, like, we left at maybe 2 in the afternoon, and we had planned on leaving earlier, but you know how that goes, right? Like, you race, it's a long weekend, you got your buddies there on other teams, racing other cars, doing other things, and you just end up hanging out and talking to them. But yeah, so we leave, we drove, I think I did about 10 to 12 hours, and my brother did 6 to 8, I think. And he's made that trip like a million times, so he's paid his dues in driving that. But yeah, hauled our race trailer down, and you know, made it down to Texas the next morning at like 7:30, and then I flew back home that same day. So we left at like 2 o'clock. Was it? Could that have even? Yeah, I guess so. We left at, I guess, 1:30 or 2, and got back the next morning at 7:30-ish. 10, 17, yeah. Maybe a little bit longer. Maybe we left closer to 12. I'm trying to think. It's about an 18-hour drive. It's a long, whatever it is, a long-ass way. But we drove and drove and drove and drove and drove. Finally made it down. Had lots of wind, very windy trip, but man, the colors were so beautiful. Fall colors, absolutely stunning. Just incredible. Would highly recommend. Go Google like Milwaukee, or I guess Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, to I don't know, Fort Worth, Texas, and just find what the route is. Go find some places that are in between. Like, it was just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The fall colors. It was stunning. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we crossed the Mississippi up there, and it was like a cool, like, small town, pretty crossing. If it wasn't the Mississippi, it was some beautiful place that was on a huge river. But I believe it was the Mississippi. But we are getting a little bit closer to sunset, so I don't know that we're gonna make it down all the way to friggin' New Orleans, because that's way down here. While I'm thinking about it, okay, so we are halfway between, and we are just under. Are we on the left tank? No, we're on the right tank. Okay. So it looks to me, we're about, if we're going on this side, like I wonder if this is if you're looking from the back or the front versus if you're on the ground or not. I don't know. I just don't know. Anyways, if we're looking at the front one, we're at about 12 and a half. How can that be? I just don't. That is so weird, because like these are on the left, they're on the left over here. So we need to go from the same one. So like if we're going from the right, we're at about 10 and a half, and here we're just under 10. I feel so dumb not having noticed that, for one, and for two, not even understanding how to use it. I feel like this is probably super simple, and everyone who watches is like, just forget this guy. He is so far gone. There's just no help to be had. But we're using that tank, and we're at just under 10. This is about 10 plus 2.5, so we're gonna go ahead and switch to our left tank. We don't really have to yet, but it doesn't hurt to be even ahead of time. So I say we just go ahead and do it. So there's the sun. It is going down. I think I'm gonna get some cinematics here, and then we're gonna start planning a place to land while we have light, and then a contingency in case we want to go throughout the night. Because I don't think it's gonna be super pretty at night. I think it's just gonna be black, like just total darkness. So we will see here in just a minute, but we'll do some cinematic stuff now. Okay. That was a productive little time lapse and break there. Went down, let the sweet potato Shelbaroni out. Well, I say I let her out. I opened the door. She didn't apparently seem super interested in going out, but that's okay. Fed and watered her. Got episode 3 uploading now. It was rendering before I had started making this video, and then it finished, so it is uploading, and we are back. So, beautiful sun, beautiful sunset coming up. We'll change our heading a little bit, just to stay a little bit closer to the river. Super, super pretty. I would like to fly actually down near it, so I think we are heading the right direction. I think I'm going to try to do a little low passing over. We honestly, you know what? Let's call an audible. Let's be exciting. All right. Not that one. Press the wrong button. There we go. Autopilot is off. Trim's being modified. Let's go over here. We'll do a low pass on this island, see if we can land on it. Let's live a little. And then down here, LSU. Oh boy. Go Tigers! For those of you who don't know, Louisiana State University Tigers. So, go G-E-A-U-X Tigers. It's a French thing. Louisiana's weird. It's weird in the best of ways, though. I do love Louisiana. Obviously, I have family history there. I've visited there several times. I say several times. When I was like much, much younger, I went to Louisiana several times, visiting family, and then only as I got a little bit older, did I go there for 2 mission trips to Louisiana. One in Ruston by Louisiana Tech and one in Nolens. So yeah, as an adult, I haven't been there a ton, but I have been there. But yeah, so we will we'll enjoy checking out the city. I'm going to see, I think I have seen some add-ons that you can get for New Orleans. Now, New Orleans isn't like a huge, crazy city. There's Bourbon Street, and if you know, you know, right? Like, Bourbon Street is a whole thing. It's like a whole culture in and of itself. Very popular, very party-ish. Ooh, there's a strip over there. Just FYI, if we needed to land here, we could. Anyways, and I don't know that we're going to be able to land on that because it looks like it's got lots of trees on it. But yeah, so Bourbon Street's its own, like, culture and thing, but it's down in New Orleans. And yeah, it's not a huge city like a New York or a Dallas or an Atlanta or anything like that. I wouldn't even say it's like a Nashville, to be honest, but you know, I haven't been to New Orleans that much. I have been to Louisiana several times. I have only been to New Orleans, I think, just once, maybe twice, but all that I can remember is once. And again, that was when I was a little bit older on a mission trip deal when I was in high school, I think. So yeah, interesting stuff, but very interesting city, very cool city. Like, I enjoyed it when I was there, for sure, and would love to go back. It's like a popular place to go if you're going on a cruise in the Caribbean. It's not an uncommon place to go down to board a cruise ship. I know in Texas you can go down to Galveston and stuff like that and do that too, but yeah, it's New Orleans is also a place that you can do that. And I was just looking, like, that is a perfect place to try to land. Look how long that area is. It'd be so good to land on, but we'll leave it. We're gonna spot this. I don't think we're gonna be able to land on it. Looks like there's too many trees and stuff, but we'll spot it and check it out. Could be fun. Could have a little challenging, kind of like let's check out here. Yeah, like a little side area maybe. But even that I think is a little too aggressive. So We'll spot it, check it out. If we can make it happen, we'll make it happen. If we can't make it happen, we'll move on.
500.
There's a little spot. Honestly, the only reason am I gonna talk myself into it? The only reason I think I can make that work is because of all of the water behind it. And you know, like, my better judgment says, like, can we take off? I think we can. We're pretty light on fuel. So I think we actually can make it work. It's just, it'll be an interesting one. We're gonna try it. We're gonna try a flyover of it. But I like that. But man, I gotta get some more upward rudder. I am like struggling to keep this Johnny like without having to put in a lot of input on my own. Okay. Check behind us. Okay. What speed are we at? We're at 80, perfect. That's what I like to be at. All right, so we're one set of flaps down. We'll make the turn, drop our speed down to about 10 on the manifold pressure, or drop our speed down with 10 as the manifold pressure. And a pretty aggressive turn. It's so deceiving. It makes it feel like you're falling out of the sky. Okay. Depth perception is very difficult, as I said. Okay, we're going to go in as slow as we can go. We are like 0 throttle right now. There we go. Oh baby, I see the little bush there. I see the little bush. Here we go. Slider in. Oh no! Oh no! No! This is gonna be the episode that I didn't crash. Ugh! I didn't have to land there. I didn't have to land there. And I did it anyways. I did it anyways. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Okay. We are back. We are, that's all I can really say. We are back. Where we tried to land. Back there. Which is funny that there's an island literally right there that we could have landed on, but we decided, like, no, we won't do that. We'll land somewhere hard to land. I thought this was gonna be the episode, and it could have been. I made the choice to do something really silly and try to land there. It's like, man, if we can just get the timing and the brakes right, we'll be just fine. We were not just fine. We didn't get any of those things right. So, that's just my fault, to be honest. It's just my fault. Do that. Not gonna worry too much about our angle of attack right now. But man, is that beautiful. Beautiful farmland, this huge, like, hook-shaped coastal deal. What is going on? There we go. Just like, why are we steering in this direction? But didn't have heading mode on, so I am very confident that we are not going to make it all the way down here. Which, while a little disappointing, is not the end of the world. So, we will begin searching for airports down yonder. We might check out LA 40. We might check out some of these. In other words, there are grass strips that we can land on that we may check out. It's just going to be dependent on what we can see at the time that we're going to land. So, for instance, we're going to go external here. Still have a good amount of time left with the sun up before we have to put her down. Not a ton of time, but we have enough time where I don't think we're going to get down maybe down here, but we are like pretty much, we're not maxing out speed-wise, but we're close to our cruising speed, rated cruising speed. So we'll get past here. We're going to check out LA 40, I think. We're going to plan on LA 40. If it gets too dark, we'll find a legit airport. If it's not too dark and we have some more space to go, then we'll go. But I think, based on us just seeing the sun under the wing and really not having much further to go, I think that's where we're going to have to get to. We're going to have to get to LA 40 and call it good. So let's check in the flight plan. We left from M51. Bloop. Let's see, LA 40. It's about 15 minutes away, and I think 15 minutes is about how much daylight we'll have left, if I'm honest. So, we will continue on. Let's go over here. So it could swing us over to the flight plan and then, but we're gonna go more on a direct heading. That is the course, but let's actually look at nearest here. LA 40. Broughton, 23 nautical miles, and it is heading 207. We're gonna switch our heading over. Heading 207. So, not as far as we would have liked. Not as far as we would have liked today, but you know, I'm not disappointed with the progress. I'm disappointed that we didn't make that landing work. I knew we were gonna catch some brushes, you know, some brush and some bushes, but I was really hoping we were not going to go end over freaking end. But you know what? Again, another example of my poor aviation choice within the simulator. But lots of stuff to come. So we have this little hook here, which is this. Looks like that'd be kind of fun to jet ski around in. So we got this little notch here with the cutout waterway. We're gonna go over that. And then this hook right here, far out in the distance, it's gonna be just on the other side of that, which I am excited to see. I am excited to see the like little kind of scenery-ish area, you know, or like the what's going on around there. So we're gonna go hand fly the rest of this. I originally was going off heading, but I think we're going to hand fly our way down the river and enjoy it. And yeah, make up for some of our misfortune with some enjoyable hand flying. we're trimmed downward now. And yeah, take a little drink. Almost finished up with the old fashioned here. Mostly water now, unfortunately, because of the ice, but that's okay. Alright, this is a comfortable level. Matter of fact, so comfortable I'm gonna have this Luxardo Cherry out of my old fashioned, which we talked a lot about earlier. So if you're interested in Luxardo cherries, cherries of any kind really, or old fashions, one, you have tuned into the right YouTube channel and the right episode of the right YouTube channel. Old Fashions and Cherries, In and Out, not In and Out, no, mad respect to In and Out, because I went there in California, land of overpriced things. Maybe not land of, that's probably more like Dubai, but nonetheless, you get the point. Driving cars on the water. Okay. Okay. They do it different here. But yeah. And did not have any issues with the price that they put on for a burger, fries, and a drink. So, and as few times as I even get a freaking burger, like, you know, maybe I shouldn't complain, but I don't know. I should stop complaining. I think with the moral of the story here is that I should stop complaining. I just think it was a little ridiculous that it was that much for a very, I feel like, standard meal. The only thing more ridiculous than that is that I did in fact pay it, but that's okay. Out here between Mississippi and Louisiana, I'm gonna land in Louisiana so we can claim that we did make it, and yeah, it'll be good. Not quite the progress again, not quite the distance I would have liked to have made today. It didn't help that I, ran into a tree and then ran my plane into the ground. That did not, I will admit, did not help. But pretty happy with the flight other than that. And I don't think that was like what kept us from getting to New Orleans before nightfall. But we could technically fly there through the night. I'm just you don't get to enjoy some of the scenery. And who knows, if I find that it's pretty cool, like at night, then maybe we continue flying. But until then, we're gonna make sure that we get down before it's too dark to land on a an off-land runway. Let's see here. How's our fuel looking? We're drinking it over there. Okay. On the front one, we're at like probably 7. And there we're probably at like 8.5. So should be okay. Okay, I think I might have that one. here we go. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I do think I could probably do this side right here. But, yeah, no. Being as close as we are to where we're trying to go, I'll refrain from having to restart again and lose more daylight. At the Copacabana. Dun, 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 dun. I have that song stuck in my head. Her name was Lola. She was a showgirl. Okay, so it's gonna be past the hook over there. Typically, I'd just keep flying the river over here, but I think we're gonna go over land, and we're going to head straight, direct to LA 40 to Brattonfield. Brattonfield? What it's called? Another appearance. Yeah, FL Bratton. So, and yet another appearance of Shelby the ridiculous dog, giving me all the kisses. You are eating like you have been in some food that you should not have been in. But it doesn't smell like that. You're probably just eating the food that I gave you during our last cinematic break. But it's interesting learning some of the maybe not learning, but figuring out how I want to handle some of the editing. Like, do I break it up into, like, when I'm recording, do I break it up into several clips, like an intro, a first leg, second leg, you know, crash, cinematics, or do I leave it as one continuous thing and then end up having to cut them later? And I am finding, or trying to find, but I think finding that it's a little bit easier to cut them in the video, like separate them, label them, and edit later, but we'll see. Still got some work to do and get better at that. So we're gonna do one last, let's see here, make sure we're punched in. Autopilot, no. Why are we, what is going on here? I am so confused. We're gonna just turn autopilot. We're going to autopilot and just go, and you know what? What about level mode? Let's see here. Is it gonna try to bring me up to the friggin' sky? No? Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll do this for a little bit and catch the sunset and then tune in for the landing. Okay. Time to find this little baby runway here. So it looks like we're direct to it. And we're gonna start hand flying the plane here. Throw the trim down. We're gonna break our manifold pressure a little bit. And we're gonna try to fly with it under our right wing. Looks like some little houses are starting to light up though, which is cool. And this is pretty cool, like one of our first kind of, not nighttime, but darker evening flights. So let's see here. Coming around it pretty soon. Actually, make sure that we're as accurate as we can be. So I think it might be like right there, or it might be up in this area, like somewhere over here. Yeah, this might be it right here. which would be cool. I like that. I like the kind of small town, rural strip area right here. I think that's gonna be it. So we're gonna make the smart decision for the first time in a minute, and actually fly a little bit away from it. And the smart part of it is that we're not going to try to land towards the trees. So let's bleed the speed a little bit. We don't need to go back to 10 quite yet, but I'd like to get close to 80 knots indicated airspeed. Starting to get a little bit of turbulence here. Trying to keep that nose up via trim. Let's do this. More options. Wind vector. Just make sure that we understand what wind we have going on. So there's a little bit of a crosswind, a little bit of a headwind in this way. When we're landing, there's going to be a bit of a tailwind. But yeah, let's begin turning around. Okay. We're gonna go one notch of flaps. Two notches. Much better on the brakes there. Much better. And here we are. What an entrance. So we may have gone a little bit long, but entrance. We got these sweet floating orbs, native only to Louisiana and everywhere else in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Throw the flaps back up. But I say let's taxi turn around here and try to get a little bit closer to the hangar and call it good. Okay. What a flight. And just in the nick of time with the sun going down. Again, could have continued flying down the Mississippi with the sun down and made it down to New Orleans, but it's been a fairly long flight already. This one's going to be a little bit of a less entertaining one, less exciting one, and you know, people just driving up and down the runway here clearly, and they're like CTSV, Lexus LFA, you know, Chrysler Crossfire crossovers. So, but anyways, so very well recognized that you know, may not be the most exciting one that we've had, but it was good to catch up a little bit, catch up about the week, and feel free to let me know what you guys have had going on in the last week or so, and yeah, if I can pick it out of the comments, we'll talk about it. You know, ask questions, be nosy or not be nosy, who even knows. But yeah, I think the plan, I'm gonna jump back on tomorrow. I'm gonna go ahead and try to chop up this video and get it ready to edit and hopefully send up tomorrow. That way there's a not a double upload, but it should be close together in quick succession. And then, yeah, then like I said, tomorrow we'll get our flight down to Nolens done, and I don't know if we'll do anything past Nolens as far as in the same video. We might go down to Nolens, New Orleans, check it out, fly around, and make that a single video. We might do several. We might break it up with several. You know, we'll get down to New Orleans. We'll do a couple flyovers, find a couple things, and then we may do. We may do some like. Kind of like I did with the video where I landed several places. It was just over an hour long. I might do that, but try to make it even shorter. Might chop it up a little bit more instead of having the whole thing, just to have some variety, you know. Maybe it's great, maybe not, but yeah, we'll see. Until then, though, hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you enjoyed the sunset coming in down on the Mississippi. We did make it from Mississippi over to Louisiana, and yeah. If you did enjoy, feel free to let me know about it. Let me know what you thought. And if you didn't enjoy, still let me know what you thought. I'm curious to see. And we will catch up with you in the next one on our cross-country adventure, the cross-country tour. Have a good one. Thanks.